Hello, we're jumping into chapter 4. Aaron here. I've got my excellent Christmas shirt on. If you don't know what this is from, you need to Google it. The Substitute Teacher. Excellent skit. Squirrel. So chapter 4 is called Taxes, the History of Taxes and the Power of Corporations. Some interesting stuff here. Talking about that there didn't used to be taxes in Britain and the United States. That's an interesting concept, and it talks about how taxes came to be and how it's all rigged. So let's get into it and give you some points. Thanks for watching. If you haven't watched the other videos, I'd suggest you stop, read chapter 1, check out that video where we brainstorm it, chapter 2, etc. Here's Chris.
Absolutely. Thanks very much. Yeah, no, really interesting. I am a history buff, for those of you that do not know. And like Aaron was saying, income tax wasn't a thing and wasn't even permanent until 1874. Previously, taxes were levied on people for wars. So against Napoleon, the British implemented income tax between 1799 and 1816. I thought that was interesting. And then the American Civil War as well, between 1861 and 1865. And then America as well made them permanent in 1913. I thought that was really interesting. And the whole idea there was that the rich were the ones that were going to be paying for those taxes. But as the government actually got a little bit more of a taste for money, they ended up moving that cap down, and all of a sudden it wasn't just the rich that were paying income taxes, it was the middle class and it was the poor. The people that voted in taking the money from the rich to cover everything ended up being the people that were paying the income tax. And I thought that was really interesting, being a history guy myself. Pass it over to you, Zach. What did you find, buddy?
Hey, so we're talking about the government getting a taste for money, and we've all got that crusty uncle who talks endlessly about government budgets and gets real worked up about it. But if you think about it, government budgets are just taxes that are taken in, period. And so the measure of success, the point that he makes is the measure of success in government is you get your budget and you spend absolutely all of it. Because if you don't, then the next year's annual budget comes out and you risk getting cut. So government actually rewards overspending, or at least spending the absolute limit. And we need to flip this on our head when we're thinking about finance, because success is deploying your money in the smartest way possible. And if you have money left over, that's actually a win, because you get to redeploy that money in the marketplace. And I think the point that really shows the difference between the rich dad and the poor dad in this chapter is he says, poor dad says, get a job, get an education, work your way up the corporate ladder. And rich dad goes, why not just own the ladder? Like, I think if we all looked at the world that way, then, we could be as successful as we want to be. Back to you, Aaron.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, I like what you just pointed out there. And I just highlighted a couple things in the book. Exactly what Rich Dad was saying. He said that the government, if they have their budget, like you said, if they don't fill it, they're going to risk losing it next year. So he said, this is what Rich Dad said. He said, your dad and I are exactly the opposite. We get paid and our success is measured on opposite behaviors. He gets paid to spend money and hire people. The more he spends, the more people he hires, the larger the organization becomes. And in government, a large organization is a respected organization. On the other hand, within my organization, Rich Dad says, the fewer people I hire and the less money I spend, the more I'm respected by my investors. That's why he doesn't like how the government operates, etc. So it's just a different way to think about it. And yeah, I think you guys touched on the other things I had highlighted here that I wanted to touch on. So it's a very interesting chapter for sure. Sometimes these things can be thought of as pretty boring, but I thought it was some good stuff. And if you like checking out this video, etc., we do have a playlist with all the videos. If you want to share it with someone on YouTube is easier, because if you're seeing this on Facebook, perhaps it's not the easiest thing to send the link. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we sign off?
Last thing, who likes paying taxes to the government? I know I don't. I don't think anybody really does. So it talks a little bit about that. Try to keep as much of your money for you as you can. And I think that that's important. And I can't wait to learn more of these lessons.
I like paying taxes because in Canada, Tommy Douglas, we don't have to pay for healthcare. I like the roads. I like all that kind of stuff. But I know what you mean. There's got to be a limit, and it's got to be spent well. And the middle class are the ones who get taxed super hard, which he talks about in here, especially the upper middle class educated folks are paying the most tax. So getting out of the rat race is that one day you can wake up and the cost of living is covered by residual income. And I think that would be a refreshing thing for a lot of people who, especially a lot of people are relying on pension or CPP, old age security, all these things. We're self-employed. We don't get that. I go to the dentist, I beep my debit card for $190 to pay for my kids to get their teeth cleaned. It's a different world that entrepreneurs and self-employed people like realtors live in. So that's one of the reasons Rich Dad Poor Dad has some good points.
Yeah.
Anything else?
My final thought on this is the one chapter that really hits on some very American concepts around the corporation and around some of the tax code stuff. You can go down and research it if you want, but it's not applicable. Like, just move through that and know that there's different systems in Canada, especially when it comes to investing in real estate. And
Good point.
having a professional like us to talk to you through it, if there's anything fuzzy like the 1031 tax exchange, not a thing here. But it doesn't mean there isn't still great opportunity.
I like
Good
it.
call.
All right. How'd you find that chapter over there, Ashley?
I liked it.
You liked it. We're in. Okay, hope everybody's having a good day. Adios.